the finance uh, facilities to look into the potential of using the resources we have, vis-a-vis oil, to leverage funding. That is possible. I know it's possible. They can utilize that to leverage funds that will address many of these problems, perhaps not in its entirety, but it certainly will represent a substantial effort to improve the various problems that have continued. It's not that these people, I believe, create these problems. These problems they have inherited and have no way how to fix it because they're civil servants.
Yes.
They have to deal with the things that actually they have to face day by day. And as such, somebody ought to let us use the international procedures. Guyana has basically more credit than 90% of the third world countries at this moment because of the basic financial capability of the oil distribution for the later on situation. Because you don't get money to borrow unless you can show people how you can pay it back.
That's right, that's true.
We have an unlimited supply of money to pay back. Why can't we segregate the areas of extreme problems and assign groups of responsible people or knowledgeable people to address it?
Where we can find these people from? Could we find the people from?
Pardon?
How we can find these people like that?
Well, because what I was trying to raise is guide people into the areas where they're from.
Yes.
I don't want to get involved because I'm too old. I don't want to get involved.
You're too old. I know.
Never say you're too old.
You know my voice, right?
Sanguine old. This gentleman old.
Yeah, because we agree.
But it's fixable.
Yes.
What I'm saying is this is not magic.
No, he's right.
He knows we can probably arrange $200 or $300 million just on the oil discovery.
Okay.
There are hundreds of thousands of Guyanese out there.
A lot of problems that we're hoping to correct.
Yes.
So all I'm saying is utilize or get other people to advise you who have knowledge how to correct these issues.
Okay.
I have no problem, as I say, maybe being a discussion person. But as I say, man, as you go, oh, look how your hair gets green now. You used to be a good-looking man.
Well, the hair doesn't spoil the good looks, you know.
He's matured.
I am available.
He's matured his age.
One person there that knows who this is. And I know that we can get the money that we're talking about. It's just that people do not want to listen to people who are from outside. They want to deal with this as a political issue, and it's not possible to correct it politically.
Mr.
All right?
You see,
Thank you very much.
the situation again has changed. It's not if we have oil, we have oil. We in commercial quantities. Right?
Mr. Sharma, do you know that when ExxonMobil announced that they got oil here,
That's right. Here we go.
have we ever been told by all the officials here or abroad, or even by ExxonMobil, how the stock exchange went up by maybe 1,000 times?
Yeah.
They've already made their money back without even exporting the oil from this country.
How come?
Have they told us?
How come?
Because the stock exchange, people are investing in the oil in Guyana, knowing that there's a guarantee that there's oil.
It's a rich source.
Yes, they already make back a lot of their money.
Okay.
So we don't have to wait to 2020 for them to start to take oil out of the country. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows that the oil that they start exploring, that they're not taking it away? Who knows? Is there any check?
Yes.
Is there any check or balances?
Yes.
We don't have the technology.
Oh, yes.
We don't have the technology. Do we have a helicopter that will fly over?
Mr. Greenway, comment about that same oil.
The oil industry has always been very complex and difficult to manage by third world countries.
Corrupt, Mr. Sharma.
Guyana,
corrupt. All over the world.
All right.
I don't use the word corruption capriciously. All I can say is that Guyana must continue to do its best in the circumstances. Guyana is 83,000 square miles. Guyana has a population of less than 1 million people.
Yes.
Guyana, in terms of the international oil industry, is a little speck, a drop in the ocean, literally and metaphorically. I've said on this program before, we've got to walk the straight and narrow path insofar as oil and gas are concerned. I'm repeating what I said here, I think 5 weeks ago. As a boy at school, my parents regaled me that oil is in Guyana.
Okay.
When I was in the cabinet, we had samples brought to us from certain areas.
How many years ago?
It's in the 70s, which said that we had oil next in quality to Nigeria. Nothing happened. In 1969, we had a crisis.
So did it delay the process?
In 1969, we had a crisis with Venezuela.
Okay.
Except for Chavez, the Venezuelans have continued to lobby to say, look, that oil belongs to us offshore and onshore.
Okay.
The fact that we're now moving forward is a credit to the Guyana government, those who negotiated, and Exxon. Exxon, I don't think, are angels. If we think they're angels, we're badly mistaken. They're shrewd business people who want to make 10 into 20.
And they had the technology too.
And the experience and the clout. What we need to do is to sensitize our people and to ensure that our people who go in the negotiation room with these people take with them people with experience and the competence to deal with these fields. You can't go to deal with sharks if you're a little sardine.
You have to deal with Chevron and the others.
Mr. Green, I'm sure you have very good intentions, and all the things you are saying are well taken up by those who are listening or viewing us. But it is not happening. And it's not only the perception of all or a significant number of our people that what you are saying is not happening. People have lost trust in the people who are placed there to negotiate on their behalf. And that is the problem that we have. That is why I agree with the President to take control of the petroleum and gas industry. That's a good thing that he has done, because what the President has done has restored confidence in him as the President, that he's in control of the situation, that he's gone too far, and he must take control, and he must remove any perception that there is corruption, that there is nepotism, that there is bribery, and there's all of those things that people are talking about. And Mr. Jagir promotes it.
Yeah.
All the time he promotes it. This government is more corrupt than any other government in the world, than any other government in the history of this country, which is not true. The fact of the matter is that there are levels of incompetence and corruption that goes on. But the system has been set up, the structures legally through SARA and SUCO has been set up to deal with the corruption of the past, to deal with the current corruption and any corruption.
But he has to be careful. Look what happened to
Carl,
Lula and Martin.
Hello, pleasant good afternoon,
Good
sir.
afternoon, yes.
Mr. Sharman, who is there at the panel this afternoon?
Yeah.
To all who is there,
Yes.
good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Destiny, our futures endeavor.
Yes.
And Mr. Sharma got something very important to talk about today.
Yes.
No, I think the government is trying. Mr. Green is trying, and some of these ministers, what they got around them.
Yes.
But we got the issues. We got many issues.
What are some of the issues?
To address. No, I think he's saying that he's trying to make the education system a bit easier on the parents and the teachers, so that they could, get in tune. But to me, when I acknowledge, it's making it hard upon some of these children.
Okay.
Now, I got a little child. He has reached time to go to nursery school. The mother get that child. She finished school about 19 or 18 or whatever. She don't nothing about parental caring. So what you find in the night, most of the night, everybody whining and the dining, the mother, that child is down the road 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, 1 o'clock when she on the road, when she don't play tug of war, who talk she pull, she all in it is there. So I wonder for when that child starting to go to nursery school, he going to teach.
Yes.
And then again he might put into practice what he see growing up from the mother,
Yes.
talking the war and whatsoever.
He's a single
And I
parent.
believe the welfare now, they got a system there, these welfare people, is like a family crib under blanket. Because when you go and make a report, they go back and they carry your name. And next thing you know, people fly in your face and they start abuse and what have you. But I believe these people need to get out from that office. The office need to be on the road and come and find out the plight of these children. He said that we're looking after children, we got children more abused and all these things they're looking after. And they sit down in their
Yes, it makes a very, very good point. Makes a very, very good point. Yes, yes.
Now,
yes.
next, last and not least, you got a couple that divorced, and because the woman is terrible, right? She's horrible. And the brother trying and he try. Anyhow, that they end up to welfare. Welfare tell the brother that he must see his child. If it's every weekend. From after he didn't get through one day where they put, he go back to them, tell them about the behavior. They give you the Saturday and the Sunday. Still now that woman don't allow that brother to see them children, you know. Anyhow, that woman working and she got those children one tending nurse to school. I strongly believe, I am too sure it is that child, that child defecate his skin, that child going through something. And the people that collect that child as guardian to keep him until his mother return from work or return what time in the night, I need that child need a psychiatric evaluation.
Could you give me the location of the child? Could you give me the location? Let me see if we can access the
Miss Green could look at this.
In the head.
And Green, look after that. And Green.
She is a very competent person.
But then again, the welfare just sit down there. They can't know what's going on inside the there. Outside there, if they keep sitting down in there. Long ago, these people used to come around and they're not going to school. When you attend school, how much days you attend school? Because they used to come around and get information.
Okay.
But these people, as I said already, Mr. Granger, you know, some people from the past regime, they are the opposition, they don't understand themselves, they don't have to comply. And the one that coming on board now, they are the opportunists. All they want to know that they get rich in case the government lose the election, they must be able to get something. Got serious problem, and we need people not in the office. Some of those offices need to close the door and bar it up, let them come on the road. They need to be on the road, Mr. Sankey. They need to be on the road. There's a lot of things. You got children not going to school.
What year is that again?
Why young teachers? He said, why young go to school? He said nothing.
What
year
are
you? Could you give me
you?
a location, the place? Could you give me a location?
3 or 4 in total. I call him from Clanbrook.
From Clanbrook.
He got serious issues.
Yeah, but
Then one of them came in my yard, jump over the fence, carry 2 bottles of pepper, open the people pipe and left it flood up the yard. When I got complaints, his parents, so the father sent me to the mother. When I got to the mother both put a good news in for me.
Well, that's the thing that Mr. Green was talking about.
If they're so small, and we can't control them, when them brothers get muscle at the age of 20 and 30, we can't they're out of control, sir.
Well, the Ministry of Education has to look into the matter, meet with parents and so on, and if the truancy continues, it work conjunction with Ms. Anne Green.
Things to be done, and this security force needs to build washroom and things for these security guards because they can't get them working and they ain't got no facility.
Oh, that's another issue you're bringing there.
You know, Mr. Sharma went by me a day right to the school there. Then the school, where these people going?
Yeah, the security guards need to have
toilets. Women, they come and they sit down. If they want defecate, they got a system. If they want urinate, they got a system.
And most of them are women. It's terrible. It's terrible. That is where the Ministry of Labour should look into that as well.
Yes. I'm going to let life can't improve. We can't speak anybody.
It's a bad reflection on the government.
Yes.
No, the security system there, they need to provide.
They need to do more. Long ago they used to walk around juvenile delinquents,
especially
calling the juvenile delinquents. If you
there are lots of females
properly, they carry up and charge you. Now, everybody doing what they want. Children going to school. Look, they have a youth going to a secondary school right here. Youth under the shot, the half pit, it get died. When you do go down to the brass tacks, the brother living with his sister and he alone has got to do a thing for himself. Let me tell you, some of these youth going to school, they smell like yam tambourine. Sour, very much sour. We need
I ain't heard it for a long time.
We need something to
young tambourine.
Very much real.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, serious
issues.
Very serious.
Very important point. What are Anne Green doing?
Anne Green is
Anne Green, what's the purpose of Anne Green?
To the best of my knowledge, she's doing a pretty good job.
Okay.
Whether she needs more staff is another matter.
Okay.
With the widening of the problem,
Yes.
perhaps she needs to have a bigger staff.
Okay.
But
I agree with you.
On
She
the
needs
gro- on
more.
the ground,
She needs
on the
more
ground.
resources.
And remember, that type of work
Yeah.
Very
is time consuming,
complex.
requires patience, and it's not a quick fix. You're dealing with people who have serious
Just problems.
mental problems
Yeah, that's
and
right.
stress.
What you say is true.
You know, and
So they should be well trained, those people who go to, because as you
They're
said,
training, but
mental
it-
problems.
Miss Green has trained
No,
people.
yeah,
The
okay.
question of the quantum.
Okay.
The amount of work that they have every day to
Yeah.
deal with is enormous.
Call your name. Hello.
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Sharma. Earlier
Yeah.
I heard Mr. Rahman, Mr. Green
Yes.
spoke about the businessmen, they're buying and selling,
Yes.
right? Now, when this government took office in 2015, they had a perfect opportunity to expand this economy by in the first year granting a lot of concession to local business people to invest in industries and so on. And the economy would have spin out this unemployment we'll be talking about. Jobs would have been created, but instead, you know what Mr. Jordan did? Taking taxes. Look, you see what I told y'all? 3 ministers in this government is going to cause this government to fail. Mr. Jordan, Mr. Barton Williams, and Mr. Trotman. Y'all see what happening?
He mentioned your boy.
Those 3 ministries are chasing him.
Yes.
He mentioned Hola.
Chasing him. And Mr. Granger needs to take stock. I don't know, this man is a good man, but like he's saying these things, man.
I'm going to talk to him now. I'm going to talk to him for personally conversation. I'm going to speak to him. I'm going to speak to him now. I'm going to speak to him.
You got to talk to me.
He's not too big. Come talk to me.
Look, I give you an example.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
get a registration the
Yes.
other day.
Yes.
You get any concession in your transmission?
No, not at all. Yes, that's
to create jobs for people now.
Yes.
This is the thing I'm telling you about.
I'm not getting no
Government will
concession.
get 1 year with a judge.
No concession I'm not getting.
Give a break to the business
Yes,
people.
yes.
And here with the create, they said the private sector, the engine go. Give them, let them do the
Okay.
thing. And we
Yeah.
will ease the government pressure on employment and all of that.
Yes.
Mr. Jordan,
Yeah.
look, Jaipal should take over this thing because Mr. Jordan policies are wrong for this country. Thank you.
Okay, well, what incentives you would offer them, the business people? What name 2 incentives you have in mind? Hello?
The battery done.
Oh, the battery.
Battery.
But I see Buxton in the Starbucks News
Yeah.
of Friday. They spoke about Primo's sewing establishment, which is coming to being.
Yes.
That is very good to see they're developing industries there in
Okay.
Buxton. I don't know what incentives
Okay.
they got,
Okay.
but there must have been some incentive. You know,
We've
it's
now
a
got
good start.
Dr. President Granger to come and address some of these problem that people facing. That's the president.
I hope to have a chat with him
Yes.
as early as possible
Okay.
because I myself are concerned
Okay.
that, as we say, he has to manage some people,
Yes, right.
Yes.
you know, because he's commander in chief.
Okay.
And at the end of the day,
Okay.
the buck stops at
With him.
his door.
Yeah.
But now he's agreed for myself and Haman and you got come together. We've got Dr. Mr. Granger, President Granger.
That's
Find what we can do.
that's a good
Relieve some of
initiative.
the
Yeah.
problem with people.
At a function last night, 2 persons approached me
Yes.
and suggested, apart from that they should have a council of elders
Mm.
who, with their vast experience, should be able to help the government and guide them through some of these
Okay.
very troubled waters. It's something that I thought of before, but
Yes.
it's something I plan to take on board in the next couple of weeks.
Mr. Green, one of the things that the gentleman talked about, which is related to business, look, in this age and time, if you want to set up a business, Mr. Sharma, we should be able to go on the internet like any other developed country in the world, all ordinary countries, developing countries, and to access an application, fill out all the details, and then get all your particulars, and register yourself at the deed
But isn't that
registry.
so? I heard
Mr.
something on the
Sharma,
radio
no, but
from,
look,
what's the name of the group?
I am reporting to you now. I have the documents in
At
my
Camp
hand.
on Church Street. What's the name of that group there?
Go invest.
Go Invest.
Yeah.
No,
I understand they have
no,
modernized.
look, I'm showing you the forms here. You have to go to a lawyer to register a company with directors. And you have to pay more than 100,000 to get it registered. I've got the papers in front of me. I went there.
When you go as a corporation.
Corporation. But listen to me. You can go on the internet, online, and register a company in the United Kingdom or any other part of the world, and you pay your money. You send all the particulars that they require.
You shouldn't need to go to a lawyer.
No, you don't have to go to a lawyer.
These lawyers are milking people in this country.
The lawyers are parasites. They are parasites, and we need to. I'm seeking, in fact, I met the Attorney General on Wednesday. I'm seeking to have a meeting with him. I've got these papers to show him, because this is something that he needs to do and it wouldn't cost any money.
Okay. All right.
He's doing a
Yeah,
good job.
so
Listen,
it's
I don't agree
Yeah.
with the gentleman criticizing the Attorney General. The Attorney General is developing that ministry that was run by Mr. Anil Nandalal.
Yeah,
Anil Nandalal did nothing to change and develop this country. Nothing, absolutely nothing. And if they are friends of his, let him call in and tell us what he
I
did.
just want to remember public and say, I'm not going to do it for concession, non-government, not the foreign government, not even this government. No duty for concession. They're supposed to give duty for concession. They're not giving no duty for concession. I can buy it by myself and transport it by myself.
The duty concessions are given to foreign companies, and that's
I'm not going to give me a
Yeah,
lot of
foreign
duty for
companies.
concession.
concessions.
We got to encourage the local
to
people.
local people, local investors,
Local investors.
and young
some
people.
Some would even invest in oil and gas too.
Mrs. Granger is doing a very good job.
What do you think about the duty for concession? They're not giving it to them. Give us a review. You were the Prime Minister at that time.
I've heard this,
Yes.
but I need evidence
Yes.
Of
that
what?
I've heard this, but I haven't had the evidence that the government is granting concessions
To other people.
of a higher level to outsiders.
That's right.
Somebody needs to bring that
Yeah.
specific information so that we can
Oh.
deal with it.
Mr. Green, that is true.
It is easy to say that is true, but where's the evidence? You know,
Oil and gas?
look,
Oil
we
and gas.
listen to me.
Forest.
We've taken people to war on flimsy evidence or none at all, you know.
We
Yeah,
got-
but that's-
we
So
got to look
my attitude for years of experience
Yeah.
in public life, I want to
get the
see
evidence.
the evidence.
So we have oil and gas, forestry, gold, diamonds. We just got to get
We got
evidence.
duty free concession. Why we can't get duty free concession for my station?
No,
Look,
but
Omai came here and had great concessions. Great.
somebody need to say, John X of Regent Street, Georgetown, applied for X acres of land to do ABC. He was able to provide the capital. Somebody came from Brooklyn or Prague or London subsequently with the same offer and was given a concession. That is what I want to see in black and white.
Call you, hello.
Good afternoon, Brian.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Rama, if you have a captain for a team,
Hello? Yeah, hello, please. Go
Hello?
ahead. Yes.
You recognize it.
Yes.
I wanted to establish something. This
Yeah.
oil that we're speaking of was
What?
discovered in 1976.
Can you speak up?
I said this oil that
That's
we're
right,
speaking
yes,
of
yes.
now
Yes.
was discovered in 1976.
Yes.
By.
Representation was made by the oil people to the government of that time for the means by which they could develop. Oil is not something, it's $29 million it costs per hole. That's
Okay.
just the final difficult oil.
Yes.
How the hell does Guyana get in the oil business if they don't have the capacity financially or otherwise?
No.
So we must accumulate some kind of relationship with people who have experience, people who we can assess in whatever humble way we're able, as to whether they're able to bring this to reality.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, in 1976, this oil was, they poured concrete on it because of stupidity in certain areas.
Well, we had a policy of 51% at that time. We could ask Minister
Yeah.
Jack.
And it's not realistic. To bring $7 billion into an area, nobody in the world wants to invest in Guyana in the first place. And a person brings $7 billion to the table, and you want them to say, oh, we're going to do it out of love. This is business. And not only the $7 billion, that's only the first stage of investment. So all I'm saying is it's necessary for everybody to take a long look, find out how other people do it successfully.
So what do you want to invest in? Tell me what you want to invest in.
Pardon?
What do you want to invest in?
What I was doing in...
No, what you want to invest in?
What you want to invest in?
I think that, to be very honest, you have a very good opportunity, Mr. Sharma,
Yes.
of putting together a government-agreed team to interact with parties who have knowledge of how to implement it. Okay? And they can decide, so you don't have, it doesn't have to be something that involves conflict of interest.
Yes.
It can be something where the government must make its own specifications as to what is required, and the other parties who have reason to criticize, show me your reason to criticism. Because I want them to show me, call 1 million in the world, except ExxonMobil, that's willing to put $7 billion into finding out if we got oil. Right? So when it's finished, we must find a way to make this oil into money so the people of Guyana can benefit from it. If the people in Guyana don't have the financial capacity to develop this oil, they must align themselves with people who have the capacity and the willingness to interact with them as corporate, corporate relations that will allow Guyanese people.
Thank you very much.
Not only
Thank you very much.
oil, but there is so many. There's another thing that I don't hear nobody talking about, which is natural gas.
Natural gas.
And we have an abundance of that. The amount of money in fuel that we have available, very few, even the people at the top, have any idea what it is. But the reality is that we can sit down like normal people, get together with people who understand and have had some experience in the area of development. Also that they can guide us into the local areas where people that have natural resources. We will have eventually the cheapest source of energy in this region. Anybody who is knowledgeable knows that ultimately that's coming.
Okay then, thank you very much. Mr. Green, share some of your view.
I agree with the caller. He's absolutely right.
We had a problem with Venezuela, which was holding back development. And then at that time, the government was a socialist government. And I remember Minister Hubert Jack, used to say anybody coming to do investment in Guyana, 51%. It was our...
And did you know that Mr. Jagdeo had the policy or the idea of refining our oil in Venezuela? Venezuela is not a hostile country. It's not a hostile country. We need to begin to have a dialogue, a serious dialogue. The same government as Chavez brought into being still exists today. And we need to have a serious discussion rather than the president doesn't want a war, he doesn't want violence. He wants dialogue, but we need to deepen that dialogue.
Maybe if you have that kind of package, they will withdraw the territorial claim.
Yes, but they're making gestures.
Trump don't want war.
They're making, it benefits all of us if we want Venezuela. We can solve that problem in Venezuela of food.
Well, you should be part of the negotiating team. You give it the 18 million.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
That person that called concerning the children not going.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Okay. That is a serious problem that's being going.
Can you speak up?
I know for a fact. This is not to do with single parent. This is mother and father, but they just don't care. They have their children out of school. Imagine that.
Mom, could you speak a little more louder? I can't hear you.
They have the...
now hear me, yes.
Okay. I know children out
of
school not going to school. Parents, I know the children not going to school.
This from
Parents
Georgetown?
not going and check on the children till when they fail now and they can't go back. They fail 2 times. They need to know the children fail and they can't go back to school. They got them home, they're smoking. They got a whole host of people they're smoking. I'm telling you.
Where is that?
Which area?
No, I'm on the East Bank.
East Bank, okay.
East Bank, that's all I wanted, yes.
18 years old.
Oh,
They should be writing CXC, going to school, or even going and learn a trade with the district. smoking. If you see these children how they react,
Okay.
it is sad. I am so sad. When you talk,
Yeah.
the older folks vex with you.
Okay.
But
Let's
you
take a
try
just
to
serious
do-
situation.
and then
Yeah.
no, because-
Very serious.
Because when you have this
Yeah.
smoking,
Yeah.
next thing you know, they jump in your yard, you know,
Okay.
and it's got to be concerned.
Okay.
That is what I was more
Yeah.
concerned about.
Thank you very much for your comment.
So we had from
Mr.
East
Green,
Bank and
what
East
is some of
Coast.
your comment
East Coast
on
and
this
East
matter?
Bank.
The young,
She's right. It's a
Yeah.
very
yes,
serious social
yeah,
problem
very serious, yeah.
that can only be solved by an aggressive government. And I believe the Ministry of Social Cohesion is
Yeah,
doing a pretty good job.
yeah,
Again, as I said earlier, maybe there need for more hands on board. And Guyana is not an easy country to deal with social issues, you know, because first of all, we spread out physically from the quarantine to the northwest and Ruknoni, all active. But there, except for Joshua, there's no concentrated community. So if you have 10 officers, you've got to spread them out. You've got to move. There may not be housing for them.
okay.
And it is,
We have to
it's a challenge.
decentralize it.
Mr. Green,
We have
Mr.
to
Green,
decentralize.
we need to be able to make those, to connect those things that you were talking about in a
Indeed.
modern society.
Exactly.
If your landline telephone isn't
Elect-
working after 30 years of GT&T, and a new government, and you got a minister, the president has appointed a minister of telecommunications to rectify this problem. And up to now, 1 year and a half has passed, Mr. Green, and she's done absolutely nothing. She for me, is the PR for that company, rather than getting them, penalizing them, getting legislation into Parliament how those other countries develop, Mr. Green. Look,
You talk, Mrs. Hughes?
in the United Kingdom,
Who are you talking about?
Mr. Cathy Hughes.
I can interrupt you. I was at a convention of the union, and I listened to Mrs. Hughes articulate quite effectively,
Talks beautifully.
but I didn't interrupt you.
Go on, talk. But I
And
finished-
she-
Hold on.
She articulated the plans they had for the
Yes.
telecommunications sector, the challenges, and she was in very intimate contact with the unions. And the unions themselves admitted they will continue the dialogue.
Okay.
And as far as I know, that dialogue is taking place. I've had to speak.
Okay, just relax, please.
I've had to speak to
Yeah.
CEO of GT&T, who I know personally,
Yes.
when he's same school with one of my daughters, and he has his own problems. And for example, they're trying to put up a tower back in the Matthews Ridge area, and they're facing a technological world that puts a lot of strain on companies that came in at a particular point with technology. You have WhatsApp, you have all these things, which has muted their profit margin. Few people use a landline these days.
Mr. Green, with respect to you,
Overseas calls,
And
Hold
local
on,
call,
hold on.
and local
overseas
call.
calls, you have Skype,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you have Magic Jack, you have WhatsApp.
So,
They don't use GT&T services anymore.
Mr. Green, with great
But-
respect, I gave evidence at a public hearing more than 6 months ago
PUC.
at the PUC, and they were pulled over the coals. There's 19,000 landline applications, and they were asked, how are they going to supply these landline telephones? That's one thing, problem. The other problem is that the current telephones are not working, Mr. Green. That is the problem. Very few NDC offices have got a landline telephone. My telephone, I had to get the minister, Jaipal Sharma, to write to them. And then they took a long time to reply to him with some convoluted explanation that I can't explain because it's a technical jargon they use. And I confronted them at that public hearing, Mr. Green. The fact of the matter is that they do not want to install landline telephones
Why?
anymore.
Tell me why.
Because as exactly what
They
Mr.
want to
Green
join
said.
like Digicel and
Exactly
do-
what Mr.
and-
Green said. It is uneconomical for them to do that. They are not providing a service they could not do that in their own country, in the United States of America, where they come from. But because the Guyanese people are docile, they allow this nonsense to carry on with GT&T. All right, what we need, and the new law, Mr. Hamilton Green, that came into being, broke up the monopoly, and now we can have other companies coming in. What I am saying is that the minister is not doing what she's supposed to do. Those GT&T should be penalized, so that when your telephone isn't working, Mr. Sharma, after 2 days, they will have to pay a penalty. It happens all over the world. Why can't it happen in Guyana? When I tell people, they say, this is Guyana.
They charge you for the receiver now.
What do you mean by that? This is Guyana.
And
what, we
they're
can't
making
change?
money with the internet service, sir.
They're making money all over the place, but they are not investing in our country.
But you're saying two contradictory things.
What, tell me?
One, that the landlines are not profitable.
No, for them.
No, you said so.
No, but for them,
oh, listen
that's
to
how
me.
they seek Mr. Hamilton.
But they could make money if they
You
if they
said
invest.
a moment ago, I'm not here to defend GT&T. It's not my
Well, that's
business.
what the payers like.
No.
People have applied for land.
I deal with reality. You said the landline business is not profitable. You said
from their perspective.
As before.
From their perspective, and you can see it. That is why you got 25,000 landline applications.
Okay, allow Mr. Green to speak. Allow him.
Whether it's from their perspective or not,
Yes.
I am not going to conduct a business that's not profitable or does not give me a profit margin that is reasonable. So what I said earlier, the new technology requires GT&T and others to adjust.
Maybe we should
Look,
tell the PUC that we don't want any more landlines.
Listen to me. I give practical experiences. I have all of my children overseas, all 11. I speak to them, I speak to my wife. Years ago, I would get a phone bill of several thousands of dollars for overseas calls. In exceptional cases, I can use WhatsApp with Magic Jack, and you can use Skype. At no cost to me except for the initial installation.
That's right.
And GT&T don't benefit from those conversations, which go on for hours. All I'm saying, that they have to adjust to new technology. It's a new world in which we are. And as far as I'm concerned, I was in there the other day, and there's something called Blaze or something to give a faster service.
Yes, that's true.
And it has to be rational. Look, we broke the monopoly. Tell me why nobody has come on board to provide landlines.
Because
let
me explain that.
We broke the monopoly.
Yes.
Why hasn't Sharma, Green, Sankey's, or Hammond come on board?
Because she
with
has not.
landlines?
Could I explain? Because I have some knowledge of technology. When the first computer came to England, I was working with a group of people, a co-op, and we bought it.
What year was that? What year was that?
In the early 80s, in that part of the 80s.
Well,
when the cell phone came
the communication world has changes
so I have a knowledge of
by the day.
Oh, good, fine. So therefore,
1980 is primitive.
The point I'm trying to make to you, Mr. Green, is that there, as a company, a technology communication company, must have the pulse on the changes that are taking place in the new technology world. All right? I, like you, have the same situation. I accept what I pay for. I don't have a landline telephone, Mr.
No, but you're blaming the minister and GT.
I'm blaming the minister for not monitoring and ensuring that we get good service.
That's not a fair statement.
What is that?
I've asked you a simple question.
Okay, let me answer.
It's logic.
Ask me again.
The system has been opened up for landlines.
Yes.
Why hasn't Rahamon, Green, Sharma, and Sankey's come along with proposals for alternative landlines?
I tell you why. Let me answer you why.
How could you blame the minister for that?
Well, let me answer you. I am saying to you, the monopoly has been opened up, but you have to set the platform. You have to set the platform. You're giving companies from abroad concessions and holiday and all kinds of things, no payment, no taxes, and so on. I am sure that Mr. Sharma is capable, he has enough money to do it, if he is encouraged.
Okay.
And I tell you how he could be encouraged.
Ram, just give that to somebody would like to take some more calls, right? Call you, hello?
Yes.
Yes. Good afternoon, yes.
What I want to talk about is the social cohesion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, there will be no social cohesion in Guyana or any of those other countries around the world where people are being paid that little money as minimum wage.
The doctor.
Call him, no?
I just called the doctor already. Yes.
Where people are being paid that little bit of money while the people they stop get plenty money.
Yes.
All people's bellies the same size.
Okay.
I don't understand how the salaries could be that vastly different. We continue in the European system.
Okay.
They were getting all the money, and the slaves get nothing other than little starfish and rice.
Okay.
And we continue the same thing and talking about people's children when their parents growing up without any money, they living in abject conditions, when their families, their ancestors are already fought for this country. This country was supposed to be shared. Instead, now people adopt the European system whereby the Freemasons at the top grab everything and the rest of people have the rat race. And this is what Bob Marley sing about when he say, oh, what a rat race. This is the rat race. But nobody who's claimed intelligent and got degrees seems to understand when a man like me speak. And the facts are in front of them. Bonham knew these things. And Bonham educated at university. How Bonham know the small man got to be a real man? And that Stevie Doe got to live in good house in South Rumsfeld. How he know though? And the rest of them who send in PNC, they know though. How people going to be 155,000 a month, and other people getting 900,000 a month. And then tell the people them, but they're tearing them this and they're tearing them that. This is nonsense. This is the problem.
Yeah. Hello? Call you, hello?
Economic
Allow the
inequality.
speak. So you can't put
Yeah,
it.
great
So,
disparity
Call you, hello?
in salary.
Yeah, yeah, hello?
Yes, good afternoon, Mr.
Yeah, good
Chairman.
afternoon, yes.
Just now they're talking about the telephone, right?
Yes.
At the time, the landline telephone not working, but you still have to pay the monthly fee. How is that?
Okay. Okay.
And then the GTA, the internet service, it's not working too, and they're bringing in new service.
Exactly,
And the phone company.
Sometimes you can't get through the internet.
Call you, hello? Hello?
Hello, good afternoon, Mr.
Yeah, good
Chairman.
afternoon, yes.
Yeah, I'd like to congratulate Mr. Rahman.
Yeah.
I'd like to expose the Minister of Telecommunications with a GT&T issue.
Yes.
Right? That minister, as soon as she took office, said that the industry would be liberalized. Right? What she will find out is that since 1990, when Mr. Height, right, signed that agreement with GT&T, you have to wait till about 40 years before the system could be liberalized. So she was, you know, misinterpret the whole system, right?
Yes.
So GT&T is really ripping off. Mr. Green is saying that technology gone up. You know how much we just pay for WhatsApp and Facebook a month of plan and them things? It's expensive. People can't afford it in this economy, but people got to use it. So Mr. Rahman is saying that the landline will give us the ease. So Mr. Green, man, you know, you're fortunate, you know. Ordinary people are not so fortunate to buy a plan from GTC and all of those. We need more cheaper plans, and the landline could assist us with Wi-Fi and those things. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you see,
Mr. Green was here.
You see, you might call somebody who doesn't have a WhatsApp and thing, because I told guys overseas, why don't you get this thing? So it costs you. If you want to make a phone call to them, it's going to cost you, because they don't have the Skype, they don't have WhatsApp, even though they're supposed to be in a developed world. Some of them, like they're not moving with the technology. Some of the people, some of the contacts you have.
Afford it.
Call it hello. Call it hello.
Abroad.
Hold on, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon.
Yes.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman.
Good afternoon. You can speak a lot, I can hear you.
Yeah, I'd like to make a statement.
Yes.
In connection with this land sales.
Yes, go ahead.
Involved these two ex-ministers. The opposition leader is harping that the decision made to sell the lands under the value and not adhering to the system policy was a cabinet decision.
Yes.
I like to point out that no government is immune from making decisions that would affect the assets or the revenue of the people of this country. And in doing so, they should be held accountable.
Who should be held accountable?
The government who made the decision.
Okay. No specific person you're referring to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. What's your view on this matter?
I heard
Yes.
President Jack, well, former President Jack Joe's statement on this matter. It's a tricky one because the cabinet decision is one, as I understand it, that is executed by public officers. I assume that the AG's office and the legal luminaries must know what they're doing when they've taken the two gentlemen to court. This is a legal matter, and I'm not a lawyer. But what strength has a cabinet decision got? If a cabinet decision says, look,
and they make a mistake.
If a cabinet decision says, look, you're going to make this pen into a ram goat, and Sankey's is the permanent secretary. Sankey's is duty bound to make this pen into a ram goat. That's, unless he goes in writing and say, look, Mr. President, this thing is not feasible. I don't think it's consistent with the Constitution. I believe that maybe the course that the AG's office will take against Ishri Singh and Mr.
But you say the buck stops at the top.
It stops at the top.
Yes.
But based on the old British public service procedures, is then the duty, I've had experience
the PS will be
of giving instructions to certain public officers.
Yeah.
And they will say to me, look, Mr. Mintz, you know, we have those instructions.
But we can't really do that.
But it's against A, B, C provision of the Constitution. It's inconsistent with tradition.
Yeah.
That is the duty of a public officer. Now, after the public officer tenders that advice, and the minister says, look, proceed, and this has been put in writing, then the public officer is absolved from responsibility and goes back to the minister.
Okay.
But if the public officer fails
to give the right advice,
he is culpable.
Okay. Another issue was the valuation.
Yes.
You notice?
Yes.
I'm speaking on the ground here saying a guy went to sell property the other day. The people say this property valued at 60,000. You can't get more than 30,000. So how, you know what I'm saying? The valuation, something is wrong with this valuation that is going wrong. This valuation of property, you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
You go to the valuation department, say, we value this property at 60,000.
Right.
And you try, most you will get is 30 or 35.
That's right.
Something.
But that's true.
I'm talking about on the ground, what's happening. Not what
Nothing is,
yeah.
my friends, nothing is wrong.
Yeah.
The reality of life is that
exactly.
the evaluation is based on a criteria set out in the law, in the training by the evaluation officers. However,
the market value.
external market forces determines it is either more or less. You can't do anything about that.
Depending on the time.
Take housing.
So they can't blame those guys.
Take housing. A man in Kitty, All Boys Town, working Rob Street, may value a property based on the existing criteria. But because housing is going on in the West Coast, Northwest, East Bank, East Coast,
the market value.
The potential purchaser may opt to go to a new area, and in spite of the valuation, he ain't interested. So the owner will then decide, after a process, to drop that valuation. We can't blame the valuation officer.
No.
Let me ask you a question.
No, what I'm saying is that in this case here, they're saying in this same case with the two fellas, that they took
Which two
money,
fellas?
Singh and
Washington.
Washington. They said they took
instructions
from they took money for far less than what it was valued for the property.
Yes.
Well, we know the environment at that time. It's corrupt. It was unacceptable, and maybe the legal people will deal with that.
That's the question I was going to ask you. Ragdev came out and said that this was a cabinet decision the cabinet can make any decision,
Yes.
but the decisions that they make is not in keeping with the Constitution, as you quite rightly said, or laws.
It's in
or
keeping
protocols.
with the extant requirement of the government.
Exactly.
What the government deems to be prudent and to be necessary to further their own interests and that of the people they represent.
Okay.
Exactly. But if they violate that,
Colin, hello?
Hi, Mr. Sharma.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
I got cut off just now, but I didn't finish my statement.
Okay.
I'm saying that cabinet ministers are not angels. They made decisions affecting the people. They have to be accountable for it.
exactly.
Now, if this was a unilateral decision made by the cabinet according to the opposition leader, then the entire cabinet should be incarcerated.
Exactly. Exactly. That's the point.
Wait.
That's the point I'm making. That's the point I'm
Very
making.
good point, very good point. Yeah.
The entire cabinet.
Incarcerated.
So Jagde was taken on the
And the
responsibility.
two of them run away.
Yeah, well,
So we got to hold on for the two.
Jagde was wiped
those are
out
two
in it.
learned men,
Okay.
and they should know
No, we got
something
Interpol.
wrong that they're doing.
Yeah.
Okay. Colin, thank you very much.
Very good point.
Interpol
Mr.
is
Green,
dangerous.
what-
They
what's
can't
out
run
here for
away.
you now?
It's a legal
Yeah.
constitutional matter.
Yes.
I don't know there's any precedent for people taking the whole cabinet to court. But you know, we live in a very dynamic world. Who knows?
Colin, hello? 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 Yes, what do you do? Colin, hello?
He said goat and goat.
That's a wrong road.
Yes. Hello, Colin, can you hear?
Top one.
It's unfortunate
top.
that
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Mr. Green, you on your knee.
Hello?
Hello?
No, this, you don't answer that.
The crank callers are coming on
Yeah,
now.
that's right,
Yes.
that's right.
Yes.
Yeah. Hello?
Good afternoon.
Good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Sharma, to you and your panel.
Yes.
I have a comment to make about this school fee, about this private school fee. I don't
Yes.
think that the Ministry of Education has no business in that.
Okay.
I think the agreement between the school and the parents, it's a private agreement, and the government has no business getting into that. The government, the Ministry of Education, nobody has no business getting into that. The private schools charge what they want to charge.
Yes.
Up to the parent if they want to let the children attend the private school or
Okay.
not.
Okay.
Like the old saying say, beef in that bone dog ain't got no business there.
Okay.
Understand? And I think that as for the
That's your viewpoint.
finance minister and the Nisil boss, it was a long time coming. I don't know why they look so shocked. They know that they have done wrong. They're supposed to accept the consequences. If you do the crime, you got to do the time. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
You talk about the finance minister and
No,
Washington.
he's talking about Washington
yes.
and
But I don't know if Mr. Green wanted to talk, comment on that.
Comment on that.
It was a private matter.
You're talking about education?
Yeah, education.
Education is a serious matter. It's an important linchpin of the development of a country. And no responsible government can leave education
on the private sector.
to the whims and caprices of any other body.
Exactly.
It's not like you're making saltfish and selling it. Education is vital to the development of our society. And any responsible government has a business to be involved at some level. Let me give an example of a letter I wrote last week. You have some of these people who regard private schools not so much of their passion to improve the quality of life, to transmit information, and to open inverted commas, educate young people, it's to make money.
Yeah.
I've had instances of private schools being opened in commercial areas, residential areas, no place for play, no place for parking, and creating confusion.
It has to be
Now,
regulated.
I believe the government has a right to intervene.
We'd have to regulate
Because
it.
you'll be producing educated, barbarians.
They could educate people to hate truth. They have to regulate it. They have education. Don't just talk about private education be left alone.
Can't
they
leave
can
it alone.
educate people to hate other people.
Yeah.
We have to monitor it closely.
And you know, you course the British, eh?
Yeah.
When we went to Queen's College,
Yeah.
you had the western ground
Uh-huh.
for playing. You had the eastern ground, which is now for parking. That's a tragedy. You had the northern ground. You had space where you had your scouts, your cadets, your hockey, your football, your cricket. What opportunities a young child has, you put him in a box there. No place for recreation, no place for exercise. What are you doing? And then keep him in for private lessons after. You're producing barbarians who they don't develop a passion for mixing with people, no sport. Something's wrong with that system.
Colony, hello?
Yes, Mr. Sharma, just came in and put on.
Yes.
Anyhow, interesting and hard about education.
Yes.
I don't know if anybody addressed this, but let's look at the school that had a contention the other day.
Yes. Yes.
And I have some grants going there. You know, last year the government, and these are the people who make the government look bad. Last year the government announced no VAT on education. They took our money in November for the semester January term. We had to pay the VAT. And you know, lo and behold, they refused to refund the VAT, although the government said no VAT on education from January. They took our money November for January semester, and they covet the money. And they're saying barefacely, no refund, they take it. And they've been doing this on all material when the government say no VAT on books and pencil and everything, they do it. They've been taking VAT on it. The government needs to investigate because it's revenue that they have robbed Guyanese, and the position there is that they have raised their fees. I think the government needs to have an input into this. Another issue, I don't know if when last you drive on the railway line from Sher Street to get into Kitty.
Yes, I drive down Maserati.
Now we talk about greenery and green and them things and, you know, place. From Guyana gas station, just behind Guyana gas station, right down to the other corner, got a mechanic shop. They're doing all the drain under the aisle, they're doing the servicing. They take over the whole block on the parapet, the government parapet. Why these people, if they have a mechanic shop, could take 10 vehicles in? Why they just can't take? Why we got to encroach on the parapet? Why we got to take the parapet? There's a government parapet. I mean, if somebody wants to pull in and just park and say, you can't do that there to come off the road. And I think that's what the parapet, we could all park there. It's not nobody's property. It's not nobody's personal property. But these people at the workshop there, by where the AFC head office there, I don't know all them AFC people as they go in there.
That's right. Yes, I know that. Yes.
I don't know why some of them really got cockeyed because they ain't seeing that, and the council trying to do their best in terms of maintaining parapets and doing things. I mean, sometimes they just do things that all of us will be annoyed with. But the council need to go and take all those vehicles on the road there. They got like the 5 vehicles on the parapet, and they go carry it and tongue them so that they can understand.
Thank you very much. Mr. Graham, please, you can share something like that? Yes.
I'll speak to the engineer.
Okay.
It's in which street?
Behind Guy Oil.
Guy Oil and Kitty.
That's
near where the Blaine Institute was.
Yeah, Mr. Sharma.
Yes.
When you
That's right, so back up that call I was just called.
Yes.
We're speaking about May School. They're not refunding the VAT. But listen to this. When an entity pays in VAT to the GRE, right, you don't get it back like that. Okay. So everybody's saying the school ain't refund them. The school don't pay in the money to GRE. So they got to get it back from GRA.
You sure they paid it in? You sure they paid it in?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Mr. Sankey, that is how it
No,
works.
he said in November. Are you sure they paid that in?
Exactly, they pay it in every month. That is how it works.
Okay.
Stop with that.
So the private school, people blaming that they ain't giving back VAT. They got to get it back from JRA for giving back.
Well, they should have discussions with the main people to find out how the money went.
Mr. Sharma, I don't really like responding to people.
Yes.
But the school never paid the VAT in, and the school Miss French said she converted the VAT for the raise to part of the payment of raise of salary to the teachers. You can't do that without informing me. Then when people start complaining about you can't commit the VAT and you can't do that, then it's only when they issue a letter or officially raise all the fees. Okay. So that man that called there doesn't even know what he's talking about.
But that's what I asked him if he knew for sure.
Barking up the tree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hold the line for me, please. Thank you. What is RV?
No, I said that the man gave a comment without having the information, and he didn't admit the truth that he didn't know.
Yes.
He said what they're supposed to do as opposed to what is, so it was not accurate.
Mr. Grewal, you have a comment?
No, we need the facts. The second caller called in and disputed what the other caller said.
Okay.
This program is to find justice for all.
Yeah.
Okay.
And to find justice, you need to get all two sides, in fact, all three sides.
I still got more than one side.
I mean, the third side. And that's all the difficulty in human experience.
That's right.
Call you there. Hello.
Good afternoon, Mr. Sharma, to you, partner.
Yes.
Mr. Sharma, with the private school, the government should let the education ministry get involved. You know what the government should do? Send GRA. When we want 14, you didn't want to give it to the protesting. Now you want 42. When we want 14, now the 42. And every private school that increase the fare, we go after them for the 14. And with the parking meter, the people should give the mayor a chance and see what's going to happen with the parking meter. If they're getting the parking meter money and nothing in doing in the city, well, this is the type of protest. If the gutters in cleaning, the rubbish in picking up these things and whatnot, this is where you're supposed to protest. The only thing run cars now for these people protesting, they've got America and pay parking meter. They know how the deal going in America for the parking meter, but they're going to pay it.
Okay.
That's it, Mr. Sharma.
Mr. Green, to summarize you. Parking meter.
Is right.
Yeah.
I believe the parking meter should be brought on stream with appropriate arrangements, public consultation.
And if the drains are not clean and so on, then you go and improve.
No, the municipality must say exactly what they're doing with additional revenues. It has been well documented that even when you get the money from the parking meters, it is insufficient to provide the service in the city. Now, whether the money is properly used is, of course, another matter. But to manage a city I know it's a fantastic job. Drainage, roads, management. We have a lot of indisciplined people. The building code, you heard people calling.
Yeah, but that's why I said that we need to expand the policing of the city. City constables can take care of traffic. If they take care of traffic, with people parking illegally, they can make the money back, throwing away people. Every day I have to come to my house and call out to the person, who park in front of my place? It's ridiculous.
That requires equipment and management. The municipality started the bicycle squad, which worked very well.
Yeah.
But there were problems, as you know. I see the national police are doing it now.
The bicycle squad, and then you have a thing to tow a vehicle. That is it.
I drove a vehicle in Port of Spain years ago. When I came, it was gone. First said, Chief, the police gone with it. I didn't know it was no
exactly, but that's what we got to do.
Yeah.
Mr. Sharma, the problem is much more complex than that. There has to be the parking. At some stage, we have to regulate the city. And if we're regulating the city, it doesn't only have to be parking.
How are you regulating?
You have to have rules and regulations.
We think about parking generally, not parking meter, parking generally.
You have to have a regulation. If you want to develop a modern city, and the citizens themselves have got to be disciplined, they have to be orderly. So you have to have a comprehensive parking policy and program that may necessarily include a parking meter. And they keep hammering this thing.
And then we could go wider and make it a traffic of in the city. Because there's so many things that go wrong.
As Mr. Hamilton Green said, unless you're going to have law and order, operating in your city, you cannot develop the city. And parking meter, parking arrangement is one of the things.
And then it will come to the buses too.
Buses and everything.
Professor Atbar can't produce such a plan.
Hello?
But nobody wants to implement it.
Yes, yes.
Professor Atbar Khan
Yes,
came, produced a plan for the development of Greater Georgetown, but then government ignored, refused to have it implemented.
I mean, last government.
I think we should have it printed again. Can we have it on?
It is not, almost not relevant.
Yes.
Because a lot of the land and areas he identified
taken back.
have been sequestered.
Okay.
Hello?
Upper Water Street, for example, been sold to friends.
Yes.
That is supposed to be parking for the Burbis buses.
Go ahead, please.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Sharma.
Yes.
Yeah, in respect to the education with the increase, when the government was giving them 14 cents, they asked to pay 14% VAT. Everybody come out protesting. Every school chair, they take all the school chair, bring them out. Say they must protest because of the 14% VAT. Now it's 42%. Let them pay it. Let them pay it because you're against the 14%, you have to pay the 42. Because look how much more, 28% percent more in respect to the 14%. And they didn't want to pay the 14, so they have to pay the 42. Another thing in respect to the parking meter.
Yes.
I think they should give the city a try with the parking meter, because when you go to park on the road, all the vehicles are here. All over, you cannot park nowhere. Everybody just go park and left their vehicle anyhow. They must park, pay. They go somewhere else, they would pay that parking meter. And they must pay it, Mr. Sanchez.
Thank
You
you
must
very
not be
much.
against it.
Your closing remarks,
please. I'll refer to the same two issues. As I said, private schools are not that, they have to be regulated. There's no escaping that. I mean, not just looking financially, we have to regulate the content of the programs in the school too. It's very important for the nation to do that. And the parking meter, I think it has to be expanded. Parking and then traffic, a wider thing. I think city constabulary could assume a bigger role. Just like how in New York you have New York City Police and you have the those who patrol the things, the different things. We need to expand and have properly trained city constable and attend to traffic in the city, with buses, cars, everything, parking, not just parking meter. We need to expand that, and you'll see how much money you can get from that.
Mr. Green, your closing remarks, please.
Well, what my good friend Sankey said is true, but it has to be against the back of a proper plan.
Yeah.
And I don't know that we have a plan now for Georgetown. And that is badly needed because the last plan was not implemented. And with all the space that was overtaken and all this madness going on with buildings, we need a new plan. And that, I think, will take at least 6 months with a good tongue plan, the vintage of Professor Atbar Khan. I don't know if he's available, if you can get him back, because he has the background, he can do it. On a lighter note, I would like to compliment my good friend Abdul Issa from Maikoni, Juman, Ben's baby boy, whose birthday was last week, his wife's birthday was this week. One of a very, very excellent Guyanese who's done a lot of work in the very rice industry. And you should talk to him.
What was his name?
Juman.
Baby boy Juman. One of a very, very good citizens. Excellent man, very kind. And I like to publicly wish him all the best. I have a young man who celebrates his 85th birthday yesterday. Bentham is 85, still active. He danced with all the ladies last night, yes. And I'd like to comment very briefly, if you permit me, on the young man I met, whose parents are both medical professionals. They're upset with him because he didn't go along that path. But I spoke with him. For me, he's making a greater contribution to this country than his siblings, who are all doctors, and his parents. He's kind, he does music, bees, he's an expert, produces good bees, and he's working with young people. And I believe we need to encourage young people who may break away from what their parents want them to do, provided doing something constructive and helping to increase the fabric of our society, increase the understanding, and create an environment of love and understanding.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call his name, but I met him a few days ago, plays music, and last night I met a group of young people who've been playing music for the past 40-odd years, Yoruba singers. Our young people may not know about them. Those groups of people, we need to encourage to bring beauty and charm to our society.
Raman, your final comment, please. Final comment.
Mr. Sharma, I want to thank all those people who continue to look at this program. In fact, a lot of them who are not hearing me, they met me and they encouraged me to come back. I was very busy on the ground doing a lot of things that all of us should be doing. And this program, I must tell you, provides a platform for ordinary people to express their views and opinion. I know some of them don't like some of the things we say, but we are here, Guyana, more and more, we're developing a more cohesive society. I recommend that people should read the President's little booklet. It's called Social Cohesion and Political Inclusivity, Strengthening Society, Forging National Unity. It's very good.
Okay.
The next time that I'm on the program, I will read some aspects of it.
All right.
And I'll encourage younger people to read it, to study it. It should be in all schools, Mr. Sharma, so that the teachers can know, and they can. That is where we build social cohesion in the schools.
I'm ready. Please show back this tape where they had the old St. Sunday Road. Please show back, please.
Thank you.
Yeah. Here we come to the for 30. Thank you. Have a nice day. God bless you.
Thank you.
I made contact with those people in Kitty, the lady who called in to complain. I have had a follow from the engineer.
Okay. But George Norton has been doing a lot of work at Social Cohesion, right? He's enjoying the role.
He should be.
He's enjoying it.
No, but
see him down Main Street.
We need to involve the Ministry of Communities effectively.